Hey there everyone, and welcome to Bill's Retro Gaming Show. On today's video, we are going to be taking a look at my thoughts and predictions for what Arcade1up might announce around CES of 2023. We're going to jump in and look at it all right after this. Alright, so as always, thank you for tuning in and watching this video. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscription button. Click the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I put up a new video. Give this one a thumbs up and leave a comment below if you want to be part of the conversation. Now, last week I put up a video on Arcade1up's year in review and my thoughts on how they did over the year of 2022. And I kind of, put it out to all of you guys to let me know your thoughts as well on how you think they did. And thank you so much for all the great comments and feedbacks on that video. Now, this is going to be a second video in kind of a series, kind of wrapping up the year, especially this being my first year as a YouTube content creator, following closely with Arcade1up, and my thoughts of what I think might happen at CES of 2023. Now, CES is just around the corner. It's going to be the first weekend of January. I know a lot of people have been doing prediction videos and talking about this for a while, but I kind of wanted to throw my 2 cents in there too on what I think might happen. No insider information whatsoever. I have no idea what they plan on announcing, if they plan on announcing anything. I will say this too, from what I've been hearing from different people, there's a distinct possibility that Arcade1up isn't going to have an official physical presence at CES. They're not going to have a booth where they're going to be showing off things. Now, that might change, but as of right now, I don't think they plan on having a presence there. However, I do think several people from the company will be at or around CES, maybe, making some deals in the background, maybe showing some things off to people in private without having, like I said, an official presence on the showroom floor. That is not to say that that means we won't get any announcements from them. It's very likely that we will see something come up from them, whether it's just some pre-orders show up on their website like last year, whether they do one of those That One Up shows and make some announcements. But I do think that around that time we will hear something from them. And I think there are some things that are likely. There are some things that are less likely. And who knows, they may just throw something out there and completely surprise us. But why don't we just take a few minutes and I will get started on what I think might happen. Just from my limited knowledge of what I've been watching this year, what happened last year, things of that nature. And I'm going to start with something that I think is probably the most likely thing that we will see from CES this year. All right, so what you're looking at here, of course, is the Bandai Namco Legacy Pac-Mania edition from Arcade1up. Now, last year at CES, if you followed my year-end video, you know that I talked about this already. But last year at CES, they did announce 3 legacy cabs that would be coming out later on that year. Now, those didn't drop till closer to the middle of the year, but they did get announced at CES. And that was this one, the Pac-Mania. It was the Atari Legacy that was modeled after Centipede. And it was the Midway Legacy Mortal Kombat 30th Anniversary Edition. Now, they got announced at CES. We didn't really know much information about them at the time other than, a games list. Not even sure if we knew pricing right away or not. Wouldn't be till much later on in the year when we find out that they had to source TN monitors for them instead of the BOAs that people were used to. Again, that's been talked about to death. I know I've talked about it quite a bit. It's not the purpose of this video, other than to say I think probably the most likely thing that we are going to see is a refresh of some, if not all, of the legacy cabs at CES, just like we got last year. Now, later on in the year, Arcade1up did also announce their Capcom Legacy. That was the Yoga Flame / Shinku Hadouken themed cabs. And then, of course, the Ms. Pac-Man, which was another, Namco Legacy, but, shaped after Ms. Pac-Man. So, all in all, we had 5 legacy cabs come out in 2022. So, we could see 2, 3, 4, 5 different legacy cabs get announced at CES as well, whether or not they stick with the same model as last year and we get a Namco, a Midway, and an Atari, and that's it. And maybe they announce some others later on because those did come out later in the year. Maybe they don't want to refresh them quite so soon. But I think probably the most likely thing is that we will see some sort of refresh of a legacy cab or two at CES. Now, how will these be different from last year? Well, you know, they bumped it from 12 games to 14 games. Could we possibly go from 14 to 16 games? They added Wi-Fi support and online support for a lot of these. I don't think that's going to change. I think one thing for sure is that the new legacies will most likely go back to the BOE monitors. I don't think they're going to go with these TNs anymore. I think there was too much backlash, too much feedback from the community that they weren't very good monitors. Again, not going to get into why they went in that direction in the first place, but I do think that that may be a change to the lineup for this year. Beyond that, I think there's going to be skin refreshes. Will we see, you know, the Pac-Mania got reskinned as a Dig Dug throughout the year. It's possible that we may see something else, maybe something we haven't seen before, maybe a Pac-Land or Pac-Man Plus or some kind of a skin that we haven't seen before. For the Midway, could they go with something else? Could they go with maybe a Tapper theme? More than likely, they may stick with the Mortal Kombat theme because it's the most recognizable. So maybe they'll go back to a Mortal Kombat 2 or maybe a Mortal Kombat 3 or something along those lines. We'll just have to wait and see. For the Atari, I would like to see them go with something like maybe Missile Command. They have not done a Missile Command themed cab yet. And I think that would be one that people would really like, and it would differentiate it from the Tempest cab, the Centipede cab. Could they possibly go back to Asteroids? They've done an Asteroids themed one already. Yeah, I think it's a possibility. But I think if they went with something like a Missile Command, I think that would be something that people would really love. Maybe even Crystal Castles, although I think Missile Command is probably more recognizable to people out there. So that's my first prediction, is I think we're going to see a refresh of legacy cabs at CES this year. All right, pardon me for like the sharp little edit here on this, but I actually did think of one other thing as I was getting ready to wrap up this section on the legacy cabs and move on to the next thing. And I just wanted to throw this out there and see what you guys think. There's been a lot of speculation on maybe the next set of legacy cabs maybe going XL, or maybe just still staying 3/4 but being riserless. So I think that's maybe a possibility too, that maybe the legacy cabs, if they want to do a full refresh of these and make them different enough for people to want to upgrade from last year's model, maybe they go with a riserless version of this, even if they stay in the 3/4 scale and just, you know, extend the, you know, the base of it with no risers. Or maybe they bump these all the way up to an XL version and the new legacy cabs become XL. Just something else that I just kind of thought of as I was, like I said, as I was working on this video, as I started to move on to the next session. But I wanted to just put that out there to you guys too and say, what would you think of that? Would you be interested in new versions of the legacy cabs that were riserless, but, you know, they're full 3/4 height, or even going to XL? Just wanted to throw that out there. Again, I think, like I said, the most likely thing is that we get a legacy refresh. It's just what's going to make them different this year coming up from last year's model. All right, and now officially moving on, this is the next thing that I wanted to talk about, and this has come up a lot recently after this got leaked from, you know, whoever, whether it was somebody who visited the Miami office of Arcade1up, or whether it was you know, an Arcade1up staffer just leaking this stuff on purpose. Again, I'm not going to get into that. I just want to focus on what could happen at CES, and I think Time Crisis is a distinct possibility for something we could see, if not at CES, then certainly within the first quarter of 2023. I think this cab was actually expected to come out before the end of 2022, and I think it got pushed back maybe for certain reasons, you know, maybe related to screen or some different things. But I think it's a distinct possibility that we could see an official announcement of Time Crisis come right around CES, or like I said, sometime within the first quarter of the year. Now, the hope is that maybe what we're looking at here is some kind of a prototype, and that they change up the final version of it, whether it's throwing a coin door on the front, maybe it's beefing up that pedal a little bit better, changing some of the color scheme. Don't know, but hopefully we will see some kind of a refresh to this, and this will get announced soon. And again, if you notice this, this is not necessarily an XL cab, but it is riserless, which is kind of what made me think about the legacy cabs too, possibly going riserless. But let me know what you guys think. Would you be interested in Time Crisis if it got announced at the beginning of the year? And then, of course, we also saw these Partycades or full size or 3/4, whatever scale cabs of Casinocades. That also got leaked right around the same time as Time Crisis. And considering CES is in Vegas, I think this would be an interesting thing for them to show off. Now, interestingly enough, and I've kind of talked about this before, that box that you see sitting there that says Wheel of Fortune Casinocade looks like the picture on it is a potential 3/4 scale version of the Casinocade, whereas the banner in the back shows Partycades. Again, between this box sitting here and this banner sitting here, this to me screams of something you bring to a show to show off when you don't have the actual machines that you want to show off or have the room to show them off. This screams like show floor marketing to me. I've been involved with my company that I work for during the day, although it's not my personal thing. They do go to certain shows from time to time, and they do get booths and show things off and whatever. And whether you have banners or signs or whatever, you always have something to catch people's eye when you go to a show. And that's what this screams to me. So listen, if they do have a booth at CES, I think that this is something that they would bring to show off at a show like CES, even if they didn't have the actual machines to show. So does that mean we will get an official announcement on these right around CES? It's a distinct possibility. So maybe we'll learn more about these Casinocades and how they work, the different Partycades, whether or not there's a full-size, 3/4, whatever you want to see with some kind of a live online element to it. Again, we'll just have to wait and see, but I think this is a definite potential for something we might see at or around CES. But again, let me know what you guys think. Again, is there any interest in these Casinocades at all? And, what price point would you like to see them at if they do get announced and they do come out? All right, diving a little further into the realm of complete and utter speculation, there is this. This is, of course, the Atari Star Wars machine that came out a couple of years ago from Arcade1up. It has been out of circulation for a while. On the back-end market, whether it's Facebook Marketplace or people selling these aftermarket, these have shot up in price, where the originals were what, $300, $400, somewhere in that, and they're going for $500, $800, $1,000, or at least that's what people are asking for when they want them. There's been a lot of talk and speculation about Arcade1up re-releasing this Star Wars machine sometime either before the end of this year or the beginning of next year. Well, we're already into December. I don't think we're going to see any announcement on this at this point coming before the end of the year, but I think it's a good possibility that at the early next year we might see this get refreshed. So, we'll just have to wait and see if this is a possibility to see again at CES. Now, are they going to just release it as is and just basically refresh the stock, or are they going to make some changes to it? My guess is they're probably going to keep it basically the same as what it is now, and maybe reskin it to be the Empire Strikes Back game as opposed to the original Star Wars game. I don't think they're going to add things like a coin door to it, although maybe. I don't think they're going to add Wi-Fi and online leaderboards, although maybe. I think from what other people have been saying and from what I've heard from people who may or may not know for sure, that it's most likely just a re-release of the original Star Wars, maybe with an updated skin on it. But I think this is definitely a good possibility. I know a lot of people would love to see this. I know I personally would love to see this because I did miss out on it the first time. I did not get a chance to pick this up. I would love to pick this up if it does come out. So, you know, we will just have to wait and see. Now, again, of course, there's also been speculation on will they release an XL or Pro of this, and I think that's probably another good possibility, is that we will see an XL or a Pro version of Star Wars. No riser, bigger height, bigger screen, coin door, online leaderboards, all that added to an XL or a Pro, but I think that's further down the line. I think if that's going to come out, it's going to be closer to mid or end of next year, maybe even 2024. I don't think we'll see it at the beginning of this year. Just my personal thoughts on that. I could be wrong. I'd be happy to be wrong about that, because I think that I would like that even more than just a refresh of this. But if this came out and there was no announcement or thought that an XL or Pro was for sure, I would probably pick this up anyway. Let me know what you guys think. All right, so before I move on, let me just say that I think the things that I've brought up so far are probably the most likely of what we may see at CES, or, like I said, within the first quarter of 2023. Now I want to dive into some further speculation on some things we might hear about or might find out about. And I don't have any like pictures or anything, so I'm just going to kind of, you know, you'll have to stare at this for a minute while I just kind of pontificate and think about what might happen. And first up, I want to talk about the possibility of a new driving cab, because we really didn't get one in 2022. Yes, Ridge Racer did come out, I think, at the beginning of the year, but it was announced at the end of 2021. I really didn't count it in my year in review for them, because I really felt it was more of a 2021 cab, even though I think people really didn't get it into their hands till January of 2022. So I think we're due for another racer from Arcade1up. And I have been promoting Daytona USA for a while now, although I'm not totally sure that that's the one that we'll get. I know a lot of people have been talking about Fast and Furious as a possibility based on some other rumors and speculation of things and different licensing that they have. So I think that is maybe, you know, in terms of more likely to least likely, I think maybe Fast and Furious is probably more likely. Daytona USA is probably next on the list. And I think anything beyond that is definitely, you know, outside the realm of possibility, at least for now. Pole position has been mentioned. I know John D himself said pole position is tough, only because of all the name branding in there with all the signs that go back past as you play. They'd have to change up a lot of that, which would basically, I don't know, for some people that would change the game maybe too much, to not have the official branding in there that they were used to. Although the core mechanic would be the same, a lot of that would have to get changed in order for a game like Pole Position to get released. Cruisin' USA, Cruisin' World, that's another one, but because of the relationship that those games have with Nintendo, I think that that is very, very, very difficult for them to do. It'd be great if they could. I think those are fantastic games. I personally would love to see a cruisin' cab from them. They're a lot of fun, those games, but I think that's probably out of the realm. I think if we're going to see a driving cab, the most likelies are either a Fast and the Furious one or Daytona USA. And then whatever, you know, games go along with that. So, you know, could we possibly see a racer get announced at CES or early 2023? Yeah, I think it's a distinct possibility, but we'll have to wait and see. All right, so the last thing I want to bring up before I wrap up this video is the potential of another Pro cab getting announced. Now, Killer Instinct Pro did get announced at CES last year, although as we all know, it didn't get officially released till just, you know, a few weeks ago here, and people aren't actually even going to get it into their hands until January. So probably even after CES, before they will actually start shipping and people will actually start receiving them. So does that make it too soon to announce a new Pro cab? It might, or they might want to piggyback on Killer Instinct and announce something else right after it. Now, I don't know how successful they are considering the Killer Instinct one. They did apparently only make 500. Supposedly, they did sell out of them. So whether or not they consider that a success enough to move on to another one, we will have to wait and see. I think the biggest speculation right now is that the next Pro might be a Street Fighter themed one. So Could that actually get announced at CES or at the beginning of the year? Maybe. Maybe. Like I said, Killer Instinct, it took them almost a year to get it out. I don't know if they want to go that same route and announce something early that may not come out till much later in the year, or if they want to wait and not announce it till it's closer to when it might actually come out. I don't know, but like I said, just the fact that Killer Instinct Pro did get announced at CES is enough to speculate that the next version of the Pro line could also get announced right around CES. Now, what that turns out to be, I don't know. Listen, if it does turn out to be Star Wars Pro, I would be thrilled with that. And it would, potentially make me want to get one. I don't know. I don't know if I'm up for spending $1,000 on a cab with just a couple of games on it. Not really sure, to be totally honest with you. If they did something crazy and announced one that had the 3 Atari games and Star Wars Trilogy on it, even though that's a Sega game, maybe that might be enough to make me pony up for it. But that's way in the realm of wish list to think that they would put one out that had all of those games on it. I think, but the fact that they're 2 different companies, the fact that the play mechanics are so different on it, one being the flight yoke, one being more of a joystick with the big buttons, I don't see those all fitting on one cab together. Modding notwithstanding, I know people have modded those cabs to have all those games and more Star Wars games on them, but that's a whole nother subject. I don't know that Arcade1up would do that. But yeah, I think there's a potential that we might get the announcement for the next Pro Series if they decide to continue the Pro Series. Maybe, and if so, what would you want it to be? Like I said, I think the biggest speculation right now is that it's probably going to be a Street Fighter themed one. I think that for these Pro Series that they want to stick with things that are more in maybe in the fighter community, in the competitive gaming community. Do I think we might see a Pac-Man Pro at some point? Maybe, but hardcore competitive gamers don't care necessarily about Sanwa controls in a Pac-Man. They do care about Sanwa controls, Sanwa buttons, and better controls in a Killer Instinct, in a Street Fighter, in a Mortal Kombat. So we'll just have to wait and see. All right, but yeah, there you go. That is basically it for me. That is kind of my speculation. That's my thoughts on what we might see from CES or early 2023 this year. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your comments below. Do you think I'm right? Do you think maybe I've missed something? I know people are going to bring up a whole lot of other stuff out there. People are going to bring up things like, Robotron or Q-Bert or, some other thing that, Arcade1up hasn't done yet. And I think those are good guesses, and who knows, we might get a big surprise at CES. But I try to keep this to the things that I think are most likely based on what they've done in the past and some recent leaks and thoughts of upcoming cabs. All right, I have a third video that I'm going to be planning to put together probably in another week on speculation further down in the year and just my thoughts on things that I would like to see Arcade1up do different in 2023 from 2022 that might just help the company out. And again, these are my personal thoughts and opinions only. You guys may have completely different ones. Feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions in the comments. There's no, I say it all the time, there's no wrong opinion. If you guys believe I'm dead on, that's great. If you think I'm way off base, that's cool too, no problem. Let me know what your thoughts are. All right, that's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, leave comments below, subscribe if you haven't yet, and hey, I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day.